G'day, guys, and welcome to the Thunder from Down Under podcast. I'm your host, Graham Solomon. Remember to go, if you're on Facebook, and smash the like button, the heart button, give us plenty of love. Got a special guest on today. And go to the Graham Solomon Thunder from Down Under YouTube channel and belt that subscribe thing off the wall. Hit the bell icon so you can be notified when we go live with special guests like I've got now. Now, a special guest is the classic virtual wholesaler. Has done 475, in excess of 475 deals all virtual, and is the CFO and head of acquisitions at Home Invest, is a coach and educator at Social Media Blueprint, and she's an all-round champion and rock star, and well loved at Social Media Blueprint. Her name is Kate Whetstone. Welcome, Kate, to the podcast.
Hi, Graham. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you, Kate. And thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking some time out. I know you're really busy. You're always got your head down and working hard. So I appreciate you coming in and spending some time with us. Now, Kate, just for the listeners and the viewers to get a bit of background of who you are, could you just tell us your backstory, how you got into, firstly, real estate, what you're doing and how you got into it, and I guess your journey all the way through up to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, guys. I'm really happy to be here. So my name's Kate. My backstory is kind of interesting in the sense that I literally started with zero experience whatsoever when I started doing what I'm doing. So I'll kind of start from the beginning, and I'll try not to be too long, but I'm from Peoria, Illinois. I've born and raised. I've lived there my whole life. And it was around 2012-ish where I just had a string of really horrible things happen to me in my life. And I was like super down, got super depressed. It was like a really bad time in my life, probably the worst time. And my sister was living in Minnesota and she was back for a weekend just to visit family. And she just saw how down I was. And um, it broke her heart and she kind of just took me aside and had a heart to heart with me, and she was like, Kate, just come get in my car tomorrow when I go back up and just come with me to Minneapolis. Like, just leave all this behind. You just need, get a fresh perspective. And so I decided, okay. So I left my job that I was at and I just hopped in her car, and in 24 hours I was living in a new state, in a new city. And when I got up there, obviously I had no job. So I started job hunting. I got a job right away doing what I had always done, which is bartending, working in bars. And I did not enjoy that lifestyle anymore. It was not fulfilling. I didn't feel any kind of sense of purpose. And it was just really draining to me. So I started looking for other things, and I came across an ad for a company. The ad, just there was something about it that just like blew me away. How it was written, you could just tell the vibe of this organization was really special, and I wanted to be a part of it. I almost didn't apply because the position was for, it was a real estate company, and it was for like basic, I mean, it was like an office position, but they wanted somebody that had basic accounting skills. And I had none of that. So I applied anyway. Didn't get the job. They hired someone else. But then a few months later, I saw the same ad out. So I applied a second time, got an interview, and then I magically was hired. And that job was working with for Nate's company, Nate Armstrong. He's the CEO of Home Invest. And like I said, I went into it having zero experience. I had never done anything in real estate. I had never done anything in accounting. Um, I had nothing. And from day one, it was just, I always kind of call myself the very first social media blueprint student, because before that program even existed, I was literally just watching Nate's team doing what they do, doing what they told me to do, following all the steps that they do in their day-to-day activities. And I just learned so much over the course of the first few years with them. Around 2017, maybe like end of 2017, beginning of 2018, I started kind of like doing it myself, not supporting other people, but actually like taking the lead in doing deals. And that's really when I kind of kicked off and started doing it. And since then, I've closed over, I think I did a count like last month, we were at like around 475 that I had done, all virtually. I live in Illinois, so I've never stepped foot in a property that I've purchased or sold, never even seen them in person, never met any of the people, the contractors, the inspectors, the closers, nothing. Um, and yeah, so going from having no experience to being able to do almost 100 deals a year, it's pretty great. It's amazing, and I owe everything to like Nate and his team, and I'm so lucky. I feel so blessed that I was able to that I saw that ad and that I didn't give up on trying to get that job.
Yeah, so it was the second attempt. You missed out on the first attempt.
Mhm.
Were you a bit, were you spewing? Were you a bit upset that you missed out? Like, and did you think it was all over? Did you start looking for another job after that?
Yeah, I was upset because I mean, I'm really kind of picky when it comes to jobs. I'm just one of those people that I'll never just have my butt in a chair just to be there. Like I
Mm.
want a job that I enjoy going to. Um, so I'm pretty picky, and I wasn't seeing anything else that I one thought I would be good at, and then two just got excited about. So yeah, when I didn't get that, I was kind of bummed. But I just kept looking, but obviously I didn't find anything in that 3 months because I just kept bartending until it came back.
Well, it's lucky that that first person that took the job wasn't Kate. What
I
didn't
know.
wasn't the real deal. So moved on, and then you sort of slotted in, and the rest is history, isn't it? And we'll do a
It's
shout
fate.
out to Nate Armstrong, champion bloke, great organisation culture, champion. We'll touch on that later when we sort of talk about coaching. But for now, we'll talk about the virtual wholesaling because it's blown up in the last 2 years. People are going all over the place. But the more I talk to people in the industry, the more I find out that people have been doing it for a lot longer. And you guys have been doing it for a lot longer. Some of the guests that come on have been doing it for a lot longer. Now, can you sort of break it down into process for us? I know you're very uh, good with systems and processes, and that's your strength. You like to get stuff organised and run with a system. And you guys have got a really tight system. Can you sort of give us a bit of an overview of how that looks like you know, I know a lot of it's lead generation and how you sort of, I guess from lead gen, what you guys do and sort of go through the process.
Yeah, for sure. So when I first kind of started getting into it, we were lead gen was mostly coming from paid ads. We, had Facebook ads going. We were paying for ad spend. We were getting leads that way. And that was working for us for a long time. And then we had a string of a couple of months where it was just dried up. I don't remember exactly what was going on at the time. It might have been like an election year or something, but other people were using up all that space. And so the costs were going up really high and just the quality wasn't good. And I'm just not the type of person to sit back and be like, well, we're going to have a couple bad months. I'll just wait until, the leads start coming in again. So I just tried to think of other ways to get creative and like, well, where else can I find deals? So I had really not any Facebook experience other than just being a standard person on Facebook, like, looking at stupid photos and stuff. Um, and I was probably only a member of like a couple Facebook groups. Literally, I think I was a member of two Facebook groups. One was like one that my grandma started. Um,
It was a good
and
group
I,
though. That was a really good group.
oh,
I
you were part of that group
was
too?
there. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but I just thought, Facebook groups, there's probably groups out there for real estate. So I just started searching and digging around, and lo and behold, there were tons and tons of groups, some with like tens of thousands, some with hundreds of thousands of people in them. And so it kind of like a light bulb just went off. So I started fishing around in these groups, networking with people, trying to pull like deals from them. And it just kind of took off from there. I started making these connections with wholesalers and things. And then before you knew it, I had all these deals in my lap just from talking to these people. And ever since then, that's how we've been getting. I would say probably like 70% of our leads come from just Facebook organically.
Yeah, yeah. You guys are you know, premier people in that space of just how to cultivate organic stuff. Now, obviously, you do direct to seller. That was obviously with the ads that come in, but then you, like you just mentioned, you got into, oh, why don't we work with other wholesalers? which has started to become the norm now. But a couple of years ago, it wasn't the norm. You guys jumped in and said, well, we can work with other wholesalers. So what's the process with that? Like, early days, what did you do? You just, obviously in Facebook, you reached out to them. What's your process with talking to wholesalers from scratch?
Yeah.
Because it can be a bit of a competitive space, especially a couple of years ago. Everyone's a bit guarded. What's what's sort of your method in reaching out to them? I suppose pre-qualifying them, asking what sort of questions do you ask them?
Yeah. So, first thing to know is that there are a lot of bad wholesalers out there. There are quite a few. And so it's really important not to get discouraged if you're interested in doing this, because you're going to go through a lot of bad apples before you find the good ones. Um, and just over time, these are things that I learned from trial and error. I would say, kind of like pre qualification of looking for somebody to work with. For me, the number one thing is always just like a vibe. Like, what kind of a vibe do I get from this person? Do I feel like they're being transparent? Do I feel like an honest, trustworthy person? Do I feel like I could rely on them? So that's like a big factor. I always trust my gut instinct. Um, but other than that, I just it's really just about having an open, candid conversation. Like, I always start by telling them exactly what I do and what I'm looking for. So there's like no confusion on how we're going to work together. I would say the biggest mistake some people make when they get into doing it is they feel like they have to kind of sugarcoat what they do or hide things about their process because they're afraid it's going to scare somebody off from wanting to work with them. But in fact, it's quite the opposite. I think a lot of people really respect that. So I look for wholesalers with integrity. I look for people who are really good at communication, because if you get somebody that brings you a deal and then they just fall off the face of the earth, you just wasted time and resources on that deal and that person. Um, and I would probably say those are just the most important things, like.
Yeah, and you guys obviously sort of you keep deals for yourself. You have a lot of things going, and in Nate's network, you got a lot of things going. But the other process with the wholesalers bringing deals is you buy the deals off the wholesale and then you on sell them to someone else. So it's not JVing, it's not daisy chaining. You actually it's all done sort of legitimately. But
Mhm.
you've carved out a real market in that, and like you said, from what I know, you've got a 100% strike rate, haven't you? I don't think you've ever not closed on something. You've always, like you said, been transparent with people. So you've built that integrity from the start. So it's sort of built on those foundations, isn't it? You,
Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to say is you really appreciate your wholesalers and treat them as part of the team, as opposed to some of the other stuff that happens out in the industry. So yeah, it's a great model. So you get the deal from the wholesaler. What's Kate and her team's process? Do you then do a deal analysis? Can you just run us through that, from screening them, making sure that they're the right fit? What's the next sort of couple of steps there?
Yeah, you got it. So we have a quick conversation. If they feel good, like a good fit, I say, hey, so we're looking for off market deals. Like, once you get them, just shoot them my way and I'll check them out. If I have questions, I'll ask. So they'll start sending me deals. Most of them will either do it via text message or Facebook Messenger, which is really convenient because I always have Facebook up on my phone or on my computer, and I can just be like typing back and forth questions. They'll send me the address, usually asking price. I'll ask for pictures. Um, yeah, then I have this spreadsheet. It's called our deal evaluator, and it's something that we created for our team, where we can just quickly plug in numbers like the asking price, what kind of repair cost, rent rate, and then things like insurance, taxes, just all of these different numbers, and then it will automatically spit out kind of an exit strategy for you, more or less. So it'll give you the numbers to quickly, really fast, be able to see, hey, this is a deal that works, or it's one that does, or one that doesn't work. So after I evaluate it, if it's usually there's like another kind of negotiation. Um, it's very rare that I get one and I plug in the numbers and it's like home run, everything's perfect. Because a lot of wholesalers will try to ask for more than they probably should. They're trying to make as much money as they can. So it's kind of back and forth, a little bit of negotiating. But a lot of times we can work something out to where either I can get it at the price I need it at, to either keep it or sell it to someone else, or we at least work out some kind of an agreement where they'll let me market it to try. And then if I find a buyer before they do, then they'll let me have the deal.
Yeah, they see the big checks in the Facebook groups. That's the problem about organic market. They're in the Facebook groups and they see the 70,000 checks, so everyone's going to be a 70,000. So you've got to sort of bring a bit of reality back into the situation.
Yeah, I
Um,
can't, no income claims here.
yeah,
It's
that's
it's
right.
all depends on who you are and how hard you work, and
Yeah,
but
and
it's
I mean,
doable.
and what you guys do is, repeat work. You're going to get repeat work, so it's got to be fair for everyone.
Yeah.
It's got to work for everyone. So that's the payoff, isn't it? That you're going to get constant work if you slot into the team, bang, you're in. So yeah, that's the big payoff, I guess. Is you just 3 years later you're still working with Kate and her team, and happy
Mhm.
days.
That's one of my favorite things about working with wholesalers is once you find a couple really good ones, it's like you just can do repeat deals. It's like you
Yeah,
don't even need to keep going out and trying to find more people, because if you have two or three really good ones, they're just going to be bringing you properties over and over and over that you can do stuff
yeah,
with.
yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you do the deal evaluator, you get back to them, sort of bit of to and fro, and then it's basically just lock it in, isn't it? Just lock it in,
Yeah.
and
A lot
then
of it's just verbal. It's like, "Hey, I checked it out. I like it. Would you be able to do it at this price instead of this price?"
yeah,
They'll say a quick yes or a no, and then if they say yes, I say, "Awesome, can I send you the contract right now?" We already have a template for our contract loaded up in DocuSign, so it takes us like 60 seconds to get a contract out. We just pop in there, plug in all of our, the terms, the dates, the price, send it out.
and anyone that knows you and the team, Kate, knows that it's an efficient operation. It goes bang, bang, bang. You've got like you said, you've got the seller lead sheet. You go through, and it's like a production line. It's amazing. So
Yeah.
a wholesaler would love that. Here's the deal. I'm going back to get another one, and bang, you guys take care of everything and go from there. Um, so this gets back on the topic of virtual wholesaling. You obviously, like you said, you do it virtually, you do it in multiple states. So what sort of team, like obviously you're going to have teams on the ground. What sort of teams do you build? And in the markets that you're working in, what are the sort of top five or whatever number of people on the ground do you instantly look for when you go into a market virtually?
Great question. And a lot of people, that's something that makes them really nervous. Well, how can I, if I can't see the house or, look at it, how can I do something virtually? Um, and and to kind of clarify, it's not like I hire people to work for me, like to work for my business, on the ground. I just use people that are already in place there. So these are I guess the top things that are going to be the most important if you're doing deals virtually. Title company, you want to have a really good investor friendly title company that knows how you want to close your deals and can do that for you. um, an inspector, you want to have like a reliable inspector that's going to have flexible timelines and can get you inspection reports back quickly. Property management company, that's a big one. um, if your exit strategy is to resell it to a potential investor, maybe having a reliable manager you can refer them to is good. Also, if you want to keep it, having that person to be able to manage it for you is great. And they can also do other things like provide rent quotes, kind of give you an idea of what a property needs done to it, maybe to get it in rent ready condition if that's the route you're going with it. Kind of hand in hand with that is a good realtor. Not only they can help with kind of like ARV and comps if you're struggling on, figuring out the value of a property. This is somebody that could also walk a property for you, maybe take pictures. Um, and worst case scenario, if you get a lead that comes through and you can't make anything work with it, you could refer it to this realtor. Win-win. They get a listing, maybe they help you out with something in return. So I would say those are probably the most important to
Yeah,
have
yeah,
in
the
place.
people on the ground, yeah, and like you said, you with the either the realtor or the property manager, they can do a lot of the boots on the ground stuff for you. And because they're in the industry and the professionals and all that, they can do 60 photos, a video, and they can do it really quickly because they do it all the time. So that's a good boots on the ground to have. And being in Facebook groups too, Kate, you can always get other boots on the ground. You can use the Facebook groups and that's something that you guys do as well. So
Mhm.
Yeah, so each market you go into, you guys try and build relationships straight away, don't you? You get on the phones and communicate and try and get these people. And do you get multiple people? Do you try and sort of speak to a fair few people, and then once again, is it about that vibe? You get that vibe with someone, and you go, yeah, I'll try those two rather than. Is that how you sort of work it out? And then I guess it's performance based after that, isn't it?
Yeah, one thing I've learned just over the years in my personal life and business life is just always trust my gut. Like it never like steers me wrong. So I never want to just have rely on one person in each spot because, for example, let's say I get a deal, I'm ready to move forward to closing, but my title company is like slammed that month. Maybe they got someone else that just brought them, 20 deals and they can't close it. I don't want to be stuck in a position where I can't close a property because my title company can't perform, or I can't get an inspection done in my window because my inspector's on vacation. So always having at least two, I would say minimum, is really important. Um, and yeah, I'll get on the phones and I'll talk to people, but the quickest, most efficient way to find the best people, I just pop into Facebook. I go into other groups in that market. So if like Columbus, Ohio, if I wanted to start doing deals there, I'd find a Columbus, Ohio Facebook group for real estate and I would just post in there and ask for referrals. And you're going to get people that all comment the same person or the same company.
Yeah.
And that's where you're like, okay, well, if all of these people doing what I'm doing love this company, it's probably a good company that I would want, to work with.
Yeah, and then when you actually speak to them, like you said, you get that vibe, don't you? Their language,
Mhm.
yeah, it's amazing. It's and you they start talking the wholesale language rather than a realtor language or some other language. You can tell, and then they start
Yeah.
talking about the processes that are wholesale friendly. So yeah, it's really it's simple, but it's not easy, I guess. I mean, because a lot of people sort of miss it. They sort of you know get caught up in a
Mhm.
lot of stuff and don't realize how the power of the Facebook groups and posting. Another thing, what I do is go into and I'm sure you guys do it with the search tab, and people have already asked it generally in that market, and the same thing. You see the same names come up in multiple posts. So yeah, it's amazing. So now, all right, Kate, with virtual wholesaling, what would be your I guess your uh, advice, or what would be the lessons that you've learnt out of all these years and all these deals virtual wholesaling? What would be your tips to someone that's fairly new, wants to go virtual? What would be the lessons that you've learnt that you'd pass on to them, good and bad, I guess, the
Yeah,
warts and all?
you got it. So good tips. Actually, let me start with the bad because I think there's like two main ones. One is never only just take somebody's word for something, especially somebody that you never worked with before. You always want to get stuff in writing. I learned that the hard way. Oh no, we don't need to extend the inspection contingency date. You're good. I'll just let you have a couple more days. Don't get it in writing and then boom, all of a sudden they're trying to take my earnest money because we're out of the inspection period. Just little things like that.
Yeah.
You want to be really diligent in your paperwork with, your deadlines and things. So that's important when you're first starting out. Otherwise, somebody might try to swing in and take advantage of you. Um,
So even if they do Scouts honour, you say no, no. I still need to have something in writing.
always.
You
Yeah.
don't get sucked in with the Scouts honour one.
Never.
yeah,
Never ever.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and then I would just say not getting discouraged if you are like reaching out to people and you're not getting responses quickly. Especially like with on the lead generation side on the front end. A lot of people will like call somebody once, maybe twice, and then if they don't get an answer, they just move on. I keep following up over and over and over and over
yeah,
until I get an answer. And I was talking to you the other day, Graham, and I think I said like a couple months ago I had done like an audit on my own stuff because I was curious about like how many times it took me of reaching out to someone before I got an answer, like before they responded to me, and it was 12 times.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I can't think of a lot of people that will continue calling and texting and emailing 12 times. But that's really how you get people because sometimes a lot of people maybe maybe they posted something online, or maybe they filled out your form, on your ad, just because they're starting to think about maybe selling their house, but it's just the very beginning of the process. They're not ready to jump in yet. Um, so just nurturing that lead and continuing to try, you know, to be like in the front of their mind so that when they are ready, you're the person that they go to. That's important.
Yeah. Yep.
And mindset too. Just I think that's probably the biggest thing is just like when something goes wrong, not letting it cloud, your judgment and like letting it negatively affect everything in your day, because you can lose so much productivity from that. You can lose a lot of confidence, and that all like exudes in your conversations with other people. So even if something doesn't go perfectly as planned, just having the mindset like and the perspective to know that that's just a good learning experience. And now that you've gone through it, you don't have to go through it again because now you know what not to do. That makes all the difference.
Yeah, it's just building up endurance, isn't it? Because when people come into the industry that are new, and I've been through this recently. I'm only new in the US market. You get ghosted, you get abused, you get this, you get that, you get people 10 phone calls they don't get back to you, and you've rung 30 people, and you're like, and you can take it personally, and it can really deflate you. So as time goes by, that you start understanding that, and your head gets around it, and then all of a sudden you don't take it personally. So that's a thunderbolt there. We call them thunderbolts, Kate, not gold nuggets. They're thunderbolts on this show.
I love it.
So that's a thunderbolt there. You've got to keep working on your mindset, and you've got to just persist, because you got to remember, like, some people, let's say a realtor, you're trying to contact a realtor, they are so busy, they're getting bombarded, they're getting clients ringing them saying, I want to go around there now and look at the place. They've got all this stuff going on. 9 times out of 10 they don't deliberately do it. It's just they just get so busy that and then by the time they go to catch up, the week's gone by and they go, oh, it's probably too late anyway. So you got to keep persisting, don't you? And you got to keep.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it does teach you endurance, doesn't it? It teaches you, and then like when you get further down the track where you guys are that have been in it a fair bit of time, it's just water off a duck's back. It's just like, oh yeah, well I'll do another 7 calls to them, and they'll, we'll be best friends
It
then. So
it totally is, and it's such a good feeling when you get to that point. Is
yeah,
just like not caring, it's
yeah. So they're really good points. I mean, that's something people have to focus on is, and most of them are about not taking stuff personally, and building up your hours of rejection, getting good at rejection, because especially people that have done a lot of cold calling or text blasting, the rejection and abuse is huge. So
Mhm.
it's a bit of a conditioning thing you got to go through. It's like if you play sport, you got to do the pre-season training to get yourself conditioned ready for the season. So it's the same sort of thing. So they're great points. Now some of the positives. Give me some of the. Let's get it on a good vibe. Some of the positive things that you've learnt. Yeah, a couple of
Yeah,
couple of.
I mean, the thing I love the most about what I'm doing is it's just fun. I don't even feel it doesn't feel like work to me. It just feels like something I enjoy doing with my life. So having this be something that I can do as a career is I feel like one of the luckiest people in the world, because I know that doesn't happen for a lot of people. And just like the pure joy of being able to help people. Most of these deals that we're doing, we're really like serving people. It's people that are in a bad situation, and we're like the one person that can step in and help them get rid of this problem property. Or like a landlord that's stuck with a bad tenant and they're so stressed out and they're overwhelmed, it's making them physically sick. Like we can take care of that for them. Being able to create like win-win-win situations, like a win for a seller, a win for us, and a win for a buyer too that's looking for something that we can provide to them. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
real that's a great point. And Nate has bred that culture of service, hasn't he? Serve first.
Mhm.
And for the people that have been within the social media blueprint, they've seen some cases of that where he's gone above and beyond, and you guys have gone above and beyond to serve people. So that's a real theme with successful people in this business, is they have that mentality first, and everything flows from that. So yeah, that's a real good, yeah, like you said, you've blessed to have this opportunity. I mean, you work hard, you've worked for everything that you got, but I know exactly what you're saying. You just, that's why you're pretty happy all the time. You're pretty pumped up because
Mhm.
you get to do what you love doing each day. So, what's that old saying? If you enjoy what you do every day. You never have to work another day in your life. So that's
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying. So no, that's awesome. Now, I'll just finish off on the sort of virtual wholesaling. Another important thing, and I mean, we've sort of gone through the process of how you guys do it. You build up teams on the ground, and you really drill down on the market, don't you? You really drill down on the market and so you get to really know your market. You personally, Kate, you've become you own the streets of Milwaukee. You've been you guys have dominated that market. You've actually got your own Facebook group there, haven't you? An off-market Facebook group in Milwaukee, which we can give a plug if you want to. It's
Sure.
I don't know. It's got nearly what is it, over 10,000 members now, or about 10,000 members. It's up,
Yeah, we're approaching 10,100, which is pretty
which is
awesome.
pretty amazing for a city. Not like a lot of the Facebook groups with those numbers are nationwide. So it's amazing. Great group. I love the group. And so you guys have pretty much just dominated that market. You've moved into other markets, obviously, but that one's one of your favourites. Do you like how many people do you know in that, like, doing business there for that long? Do you just sort of have contacts all over the place there on the ground now? Like, can you
Oh
ring up
yeah.
and just get stuff done at the drop of a hat because you've actually stuck in that market?
Yeah, over time, yeah, you just meet more and more people. Like those 10,000 people in my group, I mean, that's 10,000 people in that area or people that are interested in doing business in that area. And we're not even one of the largest groups in that market. I mean, there's a few that are bigger than us right now. Um, but yeah, I mean, I still have my go-tos. I found luckily like title company, property manager, realtor, all of those people that are like really reliable and I really enjoy working with that I vibe well with. So I have my go-tos, but I have so many other people now too.
Yeah,
And one cool thing, even if you're just starting out and you don't have like that camaraderie yet with people, and even if you don't like know the market at all, and maybe a concern is, well, I really want to do, deals in Atlanta, but I don't know anything about Atlanta. Finding a good like property manager or realtor to work with right away is ideal because I can't tell you how many times I got a lead or a deal, thought it was a good deal, ran it by my property manager, friend on the ground, and he was like, "No, Kate, you don't want this deal. Like I know it looks like it's in a good area, but this little like pocket between these two highways is bad zone." I was like, "Wow, thank goodness you told me that," because he lives there. He's lived there his whole life. He knows all the neighborhoods. It's his job. So having like that kind of somebody like that can help you too is
yeah. They
fantastic.
drive the streets. They're on
Yeah.
appointments all the time. They live there. They drive the streets. It's amazing, and they talk and live real estate. So what better person to partner up with on the ground? So yeah, that's another thunderbolt you've shot out for us. But I'll just touch quickly on the Facebook group. I don't want to go into it too much, give away your trade secrets. But that's your Facebook group, and you sort of use that obviously for connections and building connections in the market and everything. You also obviously you pick up clients from that. You can reach out to people in the group. That's another one of your methods. But also on the other end, you can pick up buyers as well, can't you? Because you've got
Oh
people
yeah.
floating in and out the group. So obviously, like people that know Facebook know that it's questionnaires. You can actually get a bit of information about people and reach out. So um, that's another massive bonus about a Facebook group. And you guys at Social Media Blueprint teach how to have your own Facebook group, which is great because I mean you can quite easily start one and spin around in circles. So it's good to have
Yeah.
people that have got big Facebook groups teaching you how to actually all the little tricks and tips. So that's something you guys do and do well. So
Love my
so
Facebook.
yeah. Well, that's right. And you are the GIF queen. You're not just the virtual wholesaling queen. You're the GIF queen. I've never seen someone shoot out so many gifts in all my life. And
Gotta have fun with it.
yeah, well, you taught me.
You know?
I started doing it. And I think people thought I was like a 14-year-old kid. Like I was just gifts everywhere, right? And then for some reason, my gifts froze for about a month, and
Uh,
I felt I felt I felt naked. It was terrible, and then they just come in. So I don't know what happened there, but yeah, you keep it fun. You keep it fun. You keep it very, and that's something I really noticed about you, Kate. You really have a good time with what you do, and you yourself. And probably the dark side of the Facebook group is you have to be the Facebook. police when people are being out of order and getting a bit grumpy and a bit, dropping some F-bombs and stuff in the group. You've got to come down on them, but you try and keep it positive and fun. So that's something that you guys teach as well, is it's you got to enjoy yourself. So awesome. The next thing I wanted to talk about was your sort of coaching, social media blueprint. Do you want to just give a quick overview of the whole package of social media blueprint, and then we'll talk about what you specialize in?
Yeah, yeah. So on the home invest side, which is what I just talked about, like
Yep.
what we do every day, we're doing this business. Like we're using ads, we're using these organic methods to do deals. It's been something that's been really really fun, and we've made a lot of we've had a lot of success with. And what social media blueprint does is it's a program that we put together to teach other people how to do that, how to
Yeah.
do exactly what we do, because we have gotten so much success with it, and it's just changed like our lives. We wanted to be able to share that
Yeah.
with other people, people that are interested in real estate, people that want to build wealth for them and their families, that want to do something good and provide service for other people. There's so many different reasons that people would want to get into this, but it's basically just following our methods the same way that I learned, with no experience working with Nate's team. It's the same thing. So
Yeah. And I guess what another thing you're, I guess, an expert at is organic lead generation, and that's a big topic, isn't it, in the market at the moment? It's such a competitive market. I have so many guests that come on and they've got lead generation businesses, and so you guys have sort of honed in and laser focused on one side, which is the Facebook side of it, because that works for
mhm.
you guys. As you said, you've tried it; it's tried and true within your business, and then obviously, you know, I think you've ironed out every little wrinkle. It's all you know what works and what doesn't work, and now you actually teach it to other people. So that's awesome. And just touching back on the team, Nate's team, yourself, and all the other coaches, that there's a culture, isn't there? There's a vibe in there that is exactly what you're talking about. People that are passionate about other people's success, all that sort of stuff. So that's another thing that you guys do different than maybe some other groups, is you really focus on the students succeeding rather than it just being going through the motions. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. And look, the next question I actually had is mindset. Obviously, like you said, you touched on it before. What are your success habits, Kate? Like, you know, what things do you do that's habitual that you won't not do?
Yeah. The biggest thing I can probably say, like, for success habits, other than mindset, which I kind of already touched on, like just really trying not to let take things personally and let things get you down too much, and just like realizing that this is just part of the business. This happens all the time. Like let it roll off your shoulder and keep going. The other biggest thing is consistency. Being consistent in what you're doing and your methods every single day is so so important. There are so many people like will teach how to do certain posts in Facebook groups, like, but we teach you have to do it every day, sometimes multiple times a day. It doesn't take a long time, but it's just like, if you want to get a six, Nate always uses this analogy, if you want to get a six pack and you buy like the machine, but then you don't do it every day, you're not going to get any results. And it's kind of the same thing. So you just have to really be consistent, post every single day, follow the steps every day. And what happens is it just kind of snowballs into this giant thing that ends up being like now, because I started being really consistent in the beginning with my methods and what I was doing. Now it's everything's pretty passive for me. I don't
Yeah,
have to be very active in my group anymore. I don't have to be constantly reaching out to people. I have people bringing stuff to me. I have people flooding me with deals. I have people, you know, knocking on my door every, not personally, but like asking to work with me. And it's because, in the beginning, you have to stay consistent.
yeah, that's a good one. Consistency. That's a great habit, isn't it? If you can just have that consistency, then you can have things run on autopilot once it builds up. What about rituals, routines? Like, do you wear your red socks on a Thursday to land an extra deal? Is there any like rituals or routines that you?
Do you say Red Sox? I'm wearing a Cubbies hat, man.
Oh no, I mean actual red socks, red sock. Like
Oh, I
yeah.
thought you meant like the baseball team.
No, no. Or do you wear
Dude.
your cap on a certain day, or, and turn it sideways on a nut? Do you have any rituals or routines, or you're not that type of person?
Um, I mean, like not anything like that, like wearing a
Y-
certain thing, but and I have not been very good at this lately because I got a puppy like 4 or 5 months ago, and she kind of ruined all my routines for a while there. So I'm trying to ease back into them. But I always had like an end of day routine and kind of a morning routine, and that was actually really important for me because it got me like in the right mindset for the day and got me like prepared. I'm a very you might not know this about me, Graham, but I'm a very stressed out person. Like everything stresses me out, everything. So I
I've heard
have
you
to
say that, but I wouldn't have guessed it. I wouldn't have guessed it because you're so
Wow,
organised. So
I
yeah,
have to be. That's
yeah,
that's what it is I have a nighttime routine where like anything I can do to make things easier on myself for the following day I do. So like even like meal prepping, I'll set out an outfit for the next day, and I always prepare my like agenda the night before for my next day. So like okay, what are the important things I have to do tomorrow? This deal's closing. That can be number 1. I have to focus on that. Then number 2, I have, these phone calls I have to do. So having some like a schedule to follow so you're not just blindly like doing things and wasting time is has been really important for me.
so
And then
consistency and being very well organised. They're two things
yeah,
that work really well for you. Yeah. So
and another thing I would say is just in the morning, don't jump straight into work. I used to do that all the time. I'd wake up, pick up my phone, check the email, and I don't do that anymore. I always make sure like the first hour of my day is for me. Like
yeah,
whether it's just stretching or working out or like just journaling or anything like that. It just really like gets you in this calm mindset. And so it helps with what I was talking about earlier, like not letting things easily roll off your shoulders. If you're
yeah,
like already in that calm mindset and you're not in like a stressed out go, go, go mindset right from the get go, then
yeah,
it helps a lot.
yeah. Good routine as well. So that's awesome. And along the journey, Kate, have you had any favorite books or podcasts or educational stuff that you've either on real estate or mindset or anything like that? Are you one of those people, or you you know, or do you
Yeah.
just sort of learn it as you go?
I so I'm normally a person that just reads kind of like for fun. So I'm like really into Greek mythology and I like poetry and things like that. But one book that I love is called The One Thing by
Mm.
Gary Keller. I don't know if you've heard of that book or
Yeah,
read
I've
it,
heard of that. Yeah,
but it's basically I mean there's a lot more to it, but it's the concept is the one way to get successful at something is to focus on one thing at a time. So, like, if you're looking at everything that goes along with getting to your end goal, you get overwhelmed and you end up doing nothing because you don't really know where to start. But just doing one thing at a time and just making that one thing your focus until you've completed it and then moving on to the next thing. I mean, it's a very simple, concept, but it can really change a lot of not only in your personal life, but your work life if you follow it.
yeah. I heard that you're not big into podcasts now, but the Thunder from Down Under podcast, you've taken to it like a fish in water. You love that's your favorite podcast. Is that true?
The Thunder Down Under hat?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The
Of course
podcast,
it's my
you've
favorite
just gone,
podcast.
wow, this is amazing. So that's always good to hear. Um, mentors. Now I know one of the people you're going to say, or a couple of them, but who have been your mentors? Who are people that are just you've looked up to and learnt off and just think are awesome?
Yeah, so well, my parents, obviously. I was very lucky. My parents are the most like honest, respectful, polite, kind, good-hearted, hardworking people I've ever known. So having them as like role models my whole life has been like I couldn't ask for anything better. Um,
And the apple doesn't
ob-
fall far from the tree, does it? Hey,
Aw. That's so nice.
yeah.
Um, but I mean, Nate, like really, Nate's been a huge, huge mentor for me. I mean, he's taught me everything I know in real estate, and I look up to him and I respect and admire him so much. And he he's like the best person for me to have, like on my side, because like I said, I get super stressed out. Graham, like when I first started doing this, I can't tell you how many times I'd get so worked up, like a deal would fall apart and I would just be like, my anxiety would get so high and I would almost be in tears. And then I'd talk to Nate and he would just be like, you know what? Like, we lost this one, we'll get another one.
Yeah,
He's just the most level headed person, like with such a good heart, and he just lives to serve. And
yeah,
I mean, like just being able to, do this with somebody like that it's been just a blessing for sure.
yeah,
So I continue to learn new stuff from him every day, and
yeah. He is a true
it's great.
mentor and leader, isn't he? He's a real
Oh yeah.
leader and mentor. So we'll give you a plug, Nate. Nate from
Yeah.
Home Invest and the founder of Social Media Blueprint. You're a champion. We love you. Who's your favourite Aussie? Who's your favourite Aussie
Besides you,
besides
it's got
me?
it's
Yeah,
got to
like
be you.
yeah. That was the answer I was pushing for, but I didn't know. But yeah, like who's your favourite Aussie? Like maybe an actor or something. Like who,
Um, that's a good question. You know who it probably is? I don't know if you know this about me either, Graham, but I'm a big gambler. I
oh,
love playing
really? No, I
I'm
did.
a
Oh
poker
no.
player. I got into it in high school, and right when I was getting into it, Joe Hashem, I don't know if
Yeah,
you've heard of him, but
yeah,
he was huge and he won the World Series that year, I think, in like
yeah.
2005 or something like that. And so I really loved him. And I
There you
just remember
go.
every time he would win a hand, everyone would scream, Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi,
Yeah,
out in the stands. And
yeah.
I loved him.
The old tennis chant. They do that at the Australian Open.
They
So
do.
well, they do it everywhere around the world. But yeah. And have you got any plans to come to Australia one day? Like, do you like
I
the
would
Aussie
love
culture?
to. I
Yeah,
do. Yeah, I have friends that are just have been there so many times and they just love the culture over there, and I'd love
yeah,
to go there someday.
yeah. But for now, I mean, who knows? You can probably virtually invest if you can find a good contact that knows anything about real estate here. You can, it's a very different market. It's like Canada, very expensive, but a huge appreciation. It's all about appreciation. So if you ever need a boots on the ground, you can always yell out to the Thunder from Down Under.
Oh yeah.
He'll do your boots on the ground stuff over here. But
Love it.
no, that's awesome, Kate. Thanks for sharing all that with us. And um, yeah, I'll just do I've put your email address there at Social Media Blueprint. If anyone wants to reach out to Kate, if anyone's interested in the education, it's not just about social media; it's about the whole kit and caboodle, creative finance, wholesaling, everything, isn't it? It's an amazing package. It does highlight Facebook and social media stuff. That's obviously what's called Social Media Blueprint. So if you want to reach out to Kate, shoot her an email. You can find out more information about that. She's one of the amazing coaches there. They're all amazing. It's just a culture I've never come across in an organisation. It's amazing. Um, and also Home Invest. I guess if there's any wholesalers that are thinking, oh, that sounds good. You
Reach
can
out.
reach out to Kate about if you've got some super smoking hot deals, and then on top of that, your Facebook group, Kate. It's called is it Milwaukee Off Market Deals?
Milwaukee
So,
off market. Yeah, if you search for that in groups, it'll probably
yeah,
be one of the
and it's
first
a
ones
great
that
group
pops up.
within that area. So jump in there if you want to look at Milwaukee and I don't know. I always think of Happy Days. Happy. I mean, I think everyone does. I think there's tourist stuff there. But being an Aussie, I grew up on Happy Days, um, and that was probably one of my next questions. Do I remind you more of Richie Cunningham or Ralph Malph? Which one do you
Oh,
reckon, Kate? Now we're on the Milwaukee
man.
topic.
Richie or Ralph? You're like both
I'm like a
fused.
hybrid version, aren't I?
Yeah,
So I've
you're
got
hybrid.
I'm a redhead, so there you go. But all right, well, um, we'll end on that. I really appreciate you coming in, Kate. And once again, a huge topic: lead generation, and no one does it better than you guys and yourself, Kate. And virtual wholesaling. I mean, we call you the queen of virtual wholesaling. And what I love about Kate is you're humble and you're under the radar. You're not out there all la la. Look at me. You just you do it and you're very humble and you serve people and you teach people and you put in. So It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. And guys, go back, watch it. Watch the thunderbolts that Kate threw out, just little things that she's thrown out for you, some little crumbs and some little clues. Because if you could, be 10% as switched on as Kate and her team, you'll do well in wholesaling. So appreciate you coming on, Kate.
Thank you. It was a blast.
I'll just say that because of Kate Whetstone, you have been thunderstruck. See you guys.